On self-scout and the other 2 days in Tennessee, is that holding up this week?
Excuse me. We on Sunday we made corrections and we came and introduced Tennessee kind of in a walkthrough capacity. Monday as a staff, the players were off on Monday, and then as a staff we did all self-scout. This morning we finished up self-scout and started on Tennessee prep. And then we had practice today, and it was all fundamental technique work, good on good work, and special teams. And kind of switched the reps around, so where the ones usually get the most, the twos the second most, and the threes the least. Made it more of a developmental type of practice where the red shirts and some of the younger guys were getting the majority of the reps. So it was good. It was spirited. They flew around, really competed. Do the same thing tomorrow, and then after that, the players will be off Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and we're going to hit the road recruiting on Thursday. You can see the impact that this year's class is having on the field. We feel great about the guys that we have committed. So yeah, Thursday, Friday we'll be out recruiting our tails off.
Was it surprising, maybe not surprising, but relieving or encouraging the guys were so spirited, as you say, that we're coming off the last game?
Coming off last game? As a player or a coach and anyone who's competed at this level in any capacity, you never get over a loss. You learn to live with it. And the physical and emotional investment that goes into preparing for a football game and then playing it and have one come out the way it did, the food doesn't taste good. You don't get much sleep, but and it eats a hole in you, and that's just what it is. And the losses hurt more than the wins feel good. But we talk about singleness of purpose with our kids and making the corrections and then moving on and going 1-0. I expected them to come out like this because we put that game to bed on Sunday.
After you reviewed film, what were kind of your takeaways from the Auburn game?
Kind of what I said after the game. A lot of times it holds true or doesn't hold true to what your knee-jerk reaction is. But against here's what I said, against a team of their caliber, to spot them 21 early in the game and have to fight out of that or fight out of the corner. I don't know how realistic it was, but moved the ball fairly well. Had probably 3 or 4 opportunities that weren't visible to the naked eye that we didn't take advantage of that allowed us to put more points on the board. Identification and communication. Run fits and coverage on defense, and then the fumble on kickoff return and the missed extra point. There were a couple coverage things, but it's kind of what I thought afterwards.
When you fell behind in a deficit, how much did that take you off of your offensive game plan of what you were trying to do in that game?
Against that front seven and that pass rush, and I think that's kind of what you saw Texas A&M fall into a little bit when they threw it 51 times. And having Kylan Hill, you don't want to necessarily abandon the run, and you don't want to put it all on the quarterback's back. So there was an urgency to score, but not at the expense of just dropping back and trying to throw the ball all over the place. I think you're just trying to chip away at it, and I think that's what we had to do to continue to have success, because we're not like most teams are. You're not a team that can just drop back and throw it 50, 60 times a game. You need to be able to run it.
So,
but we certainly got off schedule, I guess, more than anything.
Early impressions of Tennessee?
In Tennessee? I watched the defensive side of the ball kind of skim through the offensive special teams, but it's obviously it's got Coach Pruitt's fingerprints on it. Kind of has that Alabama feel to it. 3 down personnel, but can get to 3 and 4 down out of it. Mix of 1 and 2 high coverages. Some pressure. We haven't got the 3rd down yet. We just done 1st and 2nd down, but you look at all the games, they've done some nice things.
Saw Tommy with the boot after the game. How's he feeling? Did he practice at all?
He did not. He did not today. But Kareem Walker did.
Kareem Walker did?
Tommy did not go today. He's still nursing a lower body, so it's good that it's a bye week. We're hoping to get back Sunday.
Sticking on the quarterbacks, how's Keaton doing? Is he still rehabbing?
Yeah, he practiced today. Yeah, he was well today too. Did I mention Kareem practice?
You opened the can of worms. What's the status of Kareem Walker?
Yeah, he practiced today. He needs his 5 days of acclimatization, where it's a certain amount in helmets, and then he can progress into uppers and then full pads. But it was good to see him out there today and kind of doing individual drills and some of the stuff, because the rest of the team was in uppers. So it was just good to see him back out on the field.
Seems like it's sort of come out of nowhere, but your name has come up in the Rutgers head coaching job. What's your reaction to that?
Reaction? I guess it's getting towards that time of year that, we ask our players to be, focused on the task at hand, and right now I'm focused on us getting better tomorrow, us doing a great job recruiting this weekend, and then doing what we need to do with the team next week to find a way to beat Tennessee.
Has anybody from Rutgers contacted you or your representative?
Daily.
you were talking quarterbacks a little bit, things that is it kind of at this point with as well as Garrett played, is it? I guess at all positions we've heard you
It's
say
kind of tricky, huh?
position.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, what
I
do
feel
you
your
do
pain.
there?
With the quarterbacks?
With the quarterbacks, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Tommy's not completely healthy right now, so, this week we're just working on program and player development, just getting a bunch of reps of one with the young guys, but two good on good, so we'll see where Tommy's at on Sunday and go from there, and certainly, I don't want to get kind of lost in the wash how Tommy was playing before he got hurt. I mean, the guy was dang near 70% completions and, 5 touchdowns and throwing the ball on time with accuracy, and I don't want that to kind of, that's it. But, the young guy's pretty impressive too, so, you obviously have the, creative license to kind of change your mind on, well, do you want to play both of them at a certain point, you know what I mean, or both in the game at the same time. So all those options are open, and I think it feels good to have a luxury where, regardless of who you pick, they're going to be it's kind of a different skill set, but you feel good about either of them being in a game piloting the ship.
You told us about your multi-color chart on the possible red shirts this year. Have any hard decisions been made now, 5 games into the season?
Yeah, they have. For the guys, for sure we know we're in redshirt. If I had to list, I'd go through it with you, but there's some hard decisions on who's definitely going to, very few yellows and a lot more greens of guys that we're going to decide we're going to play this year. Because I think they're making a nice impact on offense, defense, and special teams.
You may have answered this already, but going into this week and coming off to Auburn and watching that film, what's the biggest thing on your mind getting corrected this week in the bye week, or what's the
you get Steve's. We hit that one already. Yeah.
You mentioned having 2 quarterbacks on the field. Obviously, Tommy's done it. Do you think Garrett can line up and catch some passes?
No, I mean we did it at Penn State, and we actually had that package in the game for Auburn, but when Tommy went down, kind of took that. It was a nice little 6-play sequence that we had dialed up, and take the black Sharpie and kind of scratch it off your sheet. And, but it's still always something we can do, and I like to do.
We're already learning that Garrett's kind of a different cat in all sorts of ways, but are you still impressed with how he's just taken this opportunity and run with it?
I am impressed, but I can't say I'm surprised. I mean, just knowing him for so long and knowing the family and knowing his high school coach, Coach Eastep, and what they did there, and just kind of his, I don't mistake it for nonchalance, because it isn't. I mean, he's incredibly competitive, but just the way, he doesn't let the situation get too big or affect him. And I think the thing that impresses me, impresses our staff, hopefully impresses our fan base, and definitely impresses his teammates is this kid's compete level and his ability to produce at such a young age. I mean, just went in there, when Tommy went down and directed his first drive right down, almost how many plays it was, and threw his first touchdown pass off it. To me, that was pretty dang impressive.
Not that I want you to give away trade secrets, but we hear a lot about eye candy from other offenses. But in your situation, is there that cat and mouse game where you kind of disguise plays and move guys around and basically run the same play maybe was successful?
I mean, that's really kind of what our offense is based on. I mean, we line up in some formations against Auburn that we had in the past. I think you see more, the condensed formation, snug and bunch, or some things that we're doing and doing that out of different personnel groupings. So, I think our ability to run the ball successfully, and then how people are forced to play it, and then we're hitting on more shots down the field this year, and we have a lot more open. I mean, you look at the one, with Stephen Guidry that we overthrew, and the one where Spivey dropped. I mean, there's ones where we're hitting them this year, and as we went through our self-scout, we pulled off 4 from Auburn and 2 or 3 from the rest of the other game. The one with Witherspoon, it is coming very close to the offense that I'm accustomed to and want it to be, and we're this close from a breakout. We just need to connect on some of those explosive plays that we missed a little bit. We've hit way more than we have in the past.
I know you can't talk specifics or name names or anything, but how do you feel about this upcoming recruiting class of where you're at right now?
Man, I mean, really, really good, and it's a credit to Mike Villagrana and our recruiting staff. Those guys and girls do an unbelievable job, and my staff is forged with the task that your recruiting ability is just as important as your coaching ability. And I would find it hard-pressed to believe that there's another head coach in the country with the personal involvement that I have with every one of our top prospects, and the kids, their parents, communication on a daily basis, and our ability, our need to differentiate ourselves because of maybe not having some of the bells and whistles, and maybe not having some of the winning tradition, that you got to do something to kind of outwork people in that regard. And myself and our staff have made the full commitment that we're not going to use any excuse in recruiting, and we're going to go after the best of the best, and we may miss some, but we're going to hit more than we miss.
Speaking of recruiting, with Garrett looking like he's not going to be able to redshirt this year, does that change the way you're going to handle this class in terms of quarterbacks?
No, we got one, and we're planning to take one. Yep.
With recruiting, I know it's something you've been asked about before from when you came to state, but with not having been from the south of Mississippi, what's it been like? What's the adjustment been like?
Well, one, I love recruiting, so I mean that's the first thing. That if you don't love it, you can't be good at it. The identification process, the communication process, the relationship development process, and then having the parents be able to trust myself and our staff that we're going to develop these young men as students, as people, and as players, and know that we're looking out for their best interest. I think, like I said before, people in Mississippi see through BS, and they can sense genuine, and I think the coaches and the players and the families, they see that, and they also see the wonderful opportunity there is at Mississippi State. Did I mention I love recruiting? Sorry, I probably said that again.
Another newsy item, but there's probably no better time than a bye week to ask it. But with the law in California, name, image, and likeness, what are your thoughts on that, and how do you think it would change the landscape of college football, and specifically at Mississippi State?
That's a great question. I mean, in general, obviously it's an incredibly complex issue that probably, I don't say creates more questions than it answers, but I think you guys are getting to know me well enough by now that I'm not going to shoot from the hip and kind of throw something out there that turns into a soundbite no, I'm being serious, on a topic that I haven't had a chance to research. So when I kind of delve into it and look and see what they're talking about doing and what some of the specifics are relative to what they're going to, the player compensation and how the NCAA kind of reacts to that individually by state or by school, then I'll be able to kind of proffer an opinion. But until then, it's just me, like everybody else, just giving like a knee-jerk.
I guess it's a big picture item, following from Tyler, maybe a different angle, but now that the 4-game threshold's passed for a lot of schools, you saw what happened with Houston and some other things. You were getting used last year to being able to use guys 4 games, but now how's the dynamic changing with guys saying, I'll play my 4, but I want to sit and wait a year? How are coaches going to handle this if your guys came to you and said, I don't think I'm doing enough this year, I want to sit and maybe be better next year?
It hadn't happened for us, and I think you just got to take every instance on an individual basis. And I thought it might have been Tyler, but first and foremost, you got to do what's best for the team and the program, and then hopefully you can do the best for the individual. I don't think they're mutually exclusive, but like anything, you got 120 guys and a bunch of coaches and people you got to answer to, and you hope that there can be some kind of pleasant compromise to making everybody happy.